but you have to be one of the best players in franchise history. And, can we fully say Giguère is the best goaltender in Anaheim Ducks history? Maybe. But it's not clear, right? I mean, yes, he won the cup, but his numbers and everything else, he's not an elite goaltender. So I find it tough. It's borderline for me. I mean, if I saw him get his number retired, I don't think I'd be upset, but I'd question if he fully deserved it or not.
Yeah, I mean, he had a couple of hot playoff runs, right?
Yeah,
and those were undoubtedly important to the Ducks' runs and their cup wins. So I can't blame the idea, but
yeah.
Well, let's kick this over to the new threads that are coming out this season, the new third jerseys. Those got a lot of heat, but at the same time, I feel like, got a lot of love. I feel like it was split across the board, not even just for Anaheim fans, but, I mean, across the league or hockey fans. There was so many different teams chiming in, even people outside of hockey, like athletes outside of the hockey sports world were chiming in saying they love the jersey. So what's your take, man? You like those new thirds, or are you kind of like, eh?
I liked them when they first came out, and they've kind of just continued to grow on me from there. But I see like a lot of people saying the opposite. It's like they saw them and they're like, oh, those are pretty nice. And then, whether it be the shoulders or the fact that it's a black background and not, the purple is what is kind of getting to some people a bit. But I fully enjoy them. I love them. I'm definitely going to be getting one when it comes out. I think they're a great mix of the past and present, and that's what they wanted to achieve. And if that's what they're going to go with, the whole point, I think this is the best mix you could get if you're going to still focus on the present with the orange and with the D, which they have on the shoulders, and then kind of get that Mighty Ducks theme going with the colors and obviously the logo. I think they blended it pretty well. I think it looks nice. I actually like the black instead of the purple, because I don't think the purple would go well with the silver and the orange in the logo. I feel like if you do the purple or the eggplant, or what, I'm probably going to get tripped for calling it purple, but the eggplant or whatever, if you do that, I think you have to go with the old logo. I mean, you have to go with the old colors in the middle, and then at that point, you might as well just bring back the Mighty Ducks jersey for one season, which is what a lot of people wanted. I would give them like a solid 8 out of 10. I feel like there's maybe a couple things they could have worked on, but I definitely like them.
I didn't like the shoulders, man. That was the first thing I noticed. First thing I got when I saw it.
You want them like all black?
Just no, yeah. I mean, just all black up there, or maybe, just something. I didn't like the shoulders; just didn't fit for me. I'm still gonna get the jersey though. I just mean I don't like it. I don't love it. So I probably give it, like, you want to give it a number grid, I'd give it like 8 or a 7 out of 10. You gave it an 8. But right now is your time, as like Jason just put in our chat, our guy who can't be here, our other podcast host says, get those jerseys at Cool Hockey. Yeah. Get them at Cool Hockey. That's where you got to go to get your jerseys. There's a little shout out to our buddies over at Cool Hockey.
And we're giving one away as well.
Yeah,
we'll get more into that at the end, because we've got a little bit to talk about that some more. But we are giving one away. So if you're going to get that jersey, they come out in, I believe they said late September and October. Definitely go over onto Cool Hockey, because they've got some great jerseys over there. We've given some away through FM3 Stars during the regular season last season. We've had nothing but great reviews from the people who've gotten them.
No, man, for sure. They do. They have a great product, man, and you can oftentimes get a better deal there than you can from your team store or the NHL. So check them out, man.
From the team store. A lot of people have been complaining about that lately. they were like $240.
I went to go on the pre-order one, and I couldn't get through. I was like, dude, it just kept airing out.
Well, the website crashed, right? So.
Oh, yeah. That's good news, man. I mean, they might get record jersey sales out of that. They're going to be worn 15 times this season. The orange jerseys will be making a comeback next year. This is a one-off, it seems like. But, man, it's going to be a hot commodity, I feel like. It's funny, though, because it's just some people are chirping Ducks fans who don't like it. It's kind of, I feel like it's like, well, we're allowed to be critical. And there's like, oh, you guys complain about everything the Ducks do, and then when they don't do, and then when they do something, you guys complain about it then. I've seen that on Reddit.
Yeah.
I've seen it on Facebook. Everyone just wants to give everyone a hard time, but it's like, come on, man, it's our team. We're fans. We're crazy. We have to give our opinions on it. Speaking of which, the amount of money that Brandon Montour, shifting gears here from jerseys to signings, the amount of money that Brandon Montour reportedly wanted for 1 year compared to what he got for 2 years. The Ducks end up signing him to a 2-year deal. But it was reported he wanted $4.1 million and only a 1-year deal. That tells me that he wanted monster money to go into his UFA years, right? Isn't that how you feel about it? I mean, they signed him. He gets right now 3.387, so just, a little shy, pretty shy of what he really wanted for 1 year. But the Ducks grab him for 2. But how do you feel about that contract?
Yeah, I like the contract. I mean, I like him at a bridge deal. I kind of thought it'd be a little bit lower. They were talking about how he wanted just over 4, and the Ducks were looking to get him at 1.5, which would have been an insane steal. So I was expecting maybe something around like 2.5, 2.75, kind of like right in the middle of those two things. But I mean, I can't complain. I like the deal. The only thing is, if he does really well, and there's a good chance he could. I mean, if he continues to improve and he works really well in a full season with Cam Fowler, which is what you're kind of expecting, he could make a lot of money on his next contract, around $5 or $6 million, if not more, with the cap going up. Depends on what his numbers are. I mean, if he puts up 40, 50 points, which is lofty expectations, but if he can do that, he's going to make a lot of money. I mean, you look at the guys around him who are getting contracts. Dumba got over 5 per season. Trouba on his arbitration got 5.5 for 1 year. I wouldn't put it past him to try and sign a multi-year contract around that if he continues to improve on his production. Yeah.
And the fact that they finally found someone to play with Cam Fowler is really going to hurt Bob Murray's wallet, or the Sam Riley's wallet, really. If this deal works out for Brandon Montour, I think it was a good move for them to get him for 2 rather than 1. Anytime you can get an extra year out of a player is a good thing. But it's the Ducks have never really found anybody to slide in along Cam Fowler and perform the way he does. And it's unfortunate. Both Fowler and Montour had to spend a long time with guys like Francois Beauchemin, Kevin Bieksa, and players like that just weren't at their level, so they weren't able to perform. And lo and behold, we've said it time and time again on the show that you put talent with talent and great things happen. So I think it's a great move for the Ducks. I'm not upset about it at all. Hopefully he gets some more power play time on that the Ovechkin area is what I like to call it. So a lot of other people, I guess, but they need to put him in that circle for him to rip one-timers, man. I really feel like that's a good spot for him to be, and that would really make the power play more effective. And that's something they need to work on for next season.
How many times did we talk about either putting him or Raquel there during the regular season? I think for a bit they put Raquel there, and it was working out, and then they kind of moved things around again and shifted Montour back to the point, I believe, at some point. But he would be perfect for that spot on the power play. I mean, his numbers on the power play would increase for sure, and I think he's going to be utilized a bit more there for this season coming up, but he needs to be put in that spot. And whether that means, shifting Getzlaf up to the point and allowing him to be, the primary pass guy in the blue line and having, Fowler as the other guy to kind of offset the handedness, I think that would be fine. I mean, the Ducks have the personnel to have a very good power play. They just haven't been able to figure it out. And I think, the first step to having a good power play is putting a guy in that prime shooting position who can shoot the puck. And Brandon Montour is a key guy for that. I mean, make him the key piece of your power play and let him shine. That's what we've lauded about him for so many seasons, and since they drafted him, is he has a great shot and he can hit the net. And give him a chance to do that. I think that will be something that works really well for him this season if he's given that opportunity.
Yeah, you need a larger sample size. People were blowing it up that he wasn't that great in that slot. He had his chance there, couldn't score a bunch of goals. It's like, look, not many guys can score on one-timers like that consistently, given the opportunities, the limited opportunities that Montour had. You got to give him a season 2 to get used to playing in that spot on this team. And I think Getzlaf's always been kind of the point guy to run the power play, and he's, obviously, in my opinion, the Ducks' best passer. So, I mean, why not have him out there controlling the play? And you're right, you need a trigger man. You just need a guy that's going to shoot the puck. And there was so many times that we've said this season and season in the past where the Ducks just pass the puck around, looking for that perfect backdoor play along the side of the net. Yeah. They just would never been able to have that guy who had the trigger. And, dude, it's hard to be Alex Ovechkin. Let's not kid ourselves here. Yeah. Not everyone's going to shoot the puck like that. We're not expecting things like that. And at least in that sense, I just want a guy to be able to be the trigger man on the power play.
Yeah,
and he's a perfect fit for me.
Yeah, there's only so many guys who can do it like Ovechkin or Stamkos or Laine. Like those are the 3 guys that come to my head that can really set up in that spot and do well. But he doesn't have to be those guys. He just has to be the guy for Anaheim, the guy who can set up in that spot. And that should be the key focal point for the power play, is to work it around to him. And the reason those guys are always so successful and those power plays every year are so good. I mean, Winnipeg, Washington, Tampa Bay, their power plays are always near the top of the league. And the one reason is people start worrying about that guy after it starts working out. If Montour bangs in 4 or 5 power play goals from that spot early on in the season, teams are going to start taking notice, and they're going to start worrying about him and start double teaming him, and then it's going to open up spots for other guys. Like maybe Corey Perry in front of the net is going to get a little bit more room, or Rickard Rakell is going to be able to work a little bit more magic on the power play, and that's just going to open things up for the Ducks, and it's going to be a blessing for them on the power play to finally have that go-to guy that teams are going to look for you to make that pass to. And then it opens up everything else. I'm excited to see how they do on the power play. You've kind of heard Murray preach changes, how they want to play faster, and then that's going to help the power play. We'll see. I want to see something get changed, and that kind of starts for me with putting Montour in that trigger position.
So how do you think this affects the Ducks moving forward? I know that someone in our chat pointed it out. I was just going to bring it up that Brandon Montour is still going to be an RFA at the end of this deal.
Yeah, I mean, that helps the Ducks, right? They still get that extra time to work with him, and he'll have arbitration rights again, I believe. So, it gives them a little bit more freedom to work on a deal with him. They don't have to worry about, getting anything done on July 1st. So I like that aspect of it. But like I said, it all depends on how well he does, because it's going to hurt them if he's a guy that, if he continues to improve season after season for the next 2 seasons. And if he's going to get paid around, Hampus Lindholm money, or God forbid Cam Fowler money, based on how well he does, they're going to struggle to find anywhere to fit that in. You got to remember too, the Ducks have to resign John Gibson next season, and he's going to be looking for Connor Hellebuck type money and term. So that's going to eat away a big chunk of the Ducks cap, and they don't have a lot of relief from now until Brandon Montour has to sign. In fact, the only big contract that comes off the books in between that time is Patrick Eaves, who comes off in the same season that Montour has to be resigned, which is some pretty good relief in just over $3 million. And then Jakob Silfverberg, who's the real question mark right now, if they're going to be able to bring him back or not. He's a UFA at the end of next season, so that will be interesting to see how that affects that, because he's probably going to get more than he's getting paid right now. We would hope that, he continues to play well. You kind of hope that he gets a raise in some sense, because you want him to play well and you want him to do good. And if he does, he's going to get a good deal. I believe he's 26 by the time his deal ends.
When he's done,
yeah. So he'll be looking 26. He'll be looking for a 5-6 year deal. So and probably around $25-30 million. So you're looking at about 5.5 per season. So it'll be interesting, that's for sure. I think everybody's kind of waiting now for the end of this contract to see what he's going to get.
Yeah, and there's questions all over this lineup. I mean, the Ducks, they signed Kalle Kossela, Kevin Waugh, Andy Welinski, and then DeLeo also got a contract signed here by the Ducks. I don't think a lot of them have a big significant role in Anaheim. Maybe a bottom line guy, third, fourth line guy if things don't work out for Carter Rowney or Brian Gibbons. I can't see them making a giant impact. But just speaking of things along how much salary is left and who's left to be signed, I mean, the Ducks have about $8.7 left in current cap space. Andre Kasha and Nick Ritchie need contracts. Both guys are 22. Everyone knows how we feel about Nick Ritchie, but Andre Kasha, man, I mean, 20-goal season last year at 20 years old or 22 years old. What do you think he's asking for that Bob Murray doesn't want to give him? I mean, because Bob he has no problem letting guys hold out. He did the same thing with Rakell and Lindholm. I mean, what the hell is Kasha trying to grab that Bobby doesn't want to pay?
I just think it's hard to work out a deal. It's similar with what it was for Brandon Montour and the fact that, he hasn't really played a lot of hockey. I think last year was Montour's first full season, as well as it kind of was for Andre Kasha as well, and he had a great year where he broke out and scored 20 goals. At that point, you've got the player knowing that, he can do better, and that if he plays a full season, I mean, he only played 66 games last year. You would expect in an 82-game season, he was on pace for about 25, maybe 30 if he got hot. That's what he's going to be telling the team. And you look at even how Bob kind of lowballed Brandon Montour. I'm sure he's doing the same thing to Andre Kasha. And he's trying to get the best for the team. And then Andre Kasha as a player